All right, today's day 16 of my 30-day challenge to vlog every day. Share an idea every day for 30 days. Just over halfway, so that's good. It hasn't been too much of a challenge so far, but it definitely seems like I've done more than 15. Um, and people are probably getting tired of seeing a video show up every day on Facebook, but it's the challenge, isn't it? Today I will talk about memory. Memory has been something that I've been interested in a long time as well, mainly from doing puzzle solving. And with the puzzle solving that I do, there's an event that people compete in where they solve puzzles blindfolded, and that requires you to basically memorize different positions using letters and numbers and different memory systems, and then cycle the pieces into their correct position. And it's a competition because you have to use time to remember and time to solve, and your time that you use to remember counts against your time. But anyways, I've been interested in that for quite some time now, and through basically that, I got interested in studying kind of like the World Memory Championships. I befriended a few people who were had pretty incredible memories. I read a book called Moonwalking with Einstein about a guy who went to the U.S. National Memory Competition as a journalist one year and was blown away by the fact that people could remember so many things, and then went back the next year and ended up winning it. And he talks about a lot of things about the science of memory and all this stuff. Or there's Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow book, where he talks about the experiencing self and the remembering self, and how like life is pretty much like when you think of your life, it's pretty much all the memories you have that make you who you are. But a memory is really just a memory of a memory. And what you remember isn't actually what happened, it's the memory that you have of it. And studies show that like as you recall things that happened and you discuss them or you think about them, um, they actually you change small details. And there's actually situations where you can actually implant memories into people where they believe it to be true, even though it never actually even happened to them. And there's like studies that show this stuff. But when you think about life, like our lives are pretty much basically what we remember. Um, it's like it's like a memory of what we remembered. But when you think back of like 4 weeks ago for lunch on Thursday, what did you eat? Like, of course you wouldn't remember that unless it was something incredibly unique, like it was your anniversary, or it was like a very tragic day or a very enjoyable day or something like out of routine. Because we only remember, we create what are called anchors in time, that are created by either like really catastrophic things or really enjoyable things or things that are like very unique. We create those anchors in time, and those are the things that we remember over time. So when you think back of your life, like 99% of it you don't remember. You don't remember 99% of the details. You only remember the things that were either unique or like created a huge emotional effect on you, or were like very interesting to you. And your perception of time correlates with like how many anchors you create in life. So when you're living like just a normal routine, waking up every day and doing the same thing, when you look back on that period of your life, it'll kind of be like blurred together. There was a interesting study that these people did where I think it was a professor in like the 70s. He wanted to see like how like time correlated with like the sun and stuff. So what he did is he went into a cave where there was like no sunlight, and he slept when he felt like sleeping. He ate when he felt like eating. He used the bathroom when he felt like using the bathroom, and he told his colleagues that after 2 months they should come and get him, tell him 2 months have passed. And because there was like no anchors in that made like each day separate, when they came to get him, he thought only 1 month had passed. So so like 1 month had passed, but actually 2 months had passed. So twice the time had passed twice as fast as his perception, because of there was nothing separating. There were like no anchors creating like days or memories or anything like that. And it's just like memory is such a fascinating thing, because like you can train your memory to do things. You can train yourself to remember better, like in a certain aspect. Like if you want to remember digits of pi, you can like learn digits of pi and probably learn, you know, a few thousand of them without that much practice. Um, or if you want to remember like positions of a chessboard or something, you could do that. You can train it. But in general, like day-to-day life, like remembering what you did in your life is actually like pretty wild that we don't remember most of it. And the best way to create more anchors in time is to do more things that are unique outside of routine. So like, um, the thing is if you create too many anchors as well, they then get blurred together and you don't remember the anchors, which is the weird thing about it. But memory is such a bizarre thing. So Daniel Kahneman, he won the Nobel Prize in behavioral economics. Um, and he has a really good book called Thinking Fast and Slow, and he talks about the experiencing self and the remembering self. So the remembering self is when you ask somebody like, "So how are you doing?" It's there's two things that affect your like how you would answer that question. One is like your current state, like, am I feeling good in the current state? Am I full? Am I happy? Am I with somebody I like? Is the day beautiful? Has today been a good day so far, whatever? And then there's the remembering self, like when you look on about your life up until now, or like recent times in your life until now, are you satisfied with it? And the interesting thing is when you're young, so like when you're in your teens or 20s or early 30s, when you look at your life, most of what makes you satisfied in your life isn't necessarily what you've done so far, it's what you're like looking forward to doing in the future. But as you get older and you become elder, what what makes your life satisfactory isn't necessarily what you're doing now, but what you've done, like you're remembering self. Like, how did your life turn out? Did it turn out the way you wanted it to be? Did you do the things in life you wanted to do? And it's a pretty interesting thing. There's a lot of interesting studies on the experiencing self versus the remembering self, but it's a really interesting way of looking at like our lives, because there is both this experiencing self and like what you experience when you go on a trip, for example, like a vacation. But then when you finish the vacation, you get home, what do you remember of the vacation? Is it actually what you experienced, or is it different? And Kahneman has a really good study on that. But actually, what you experience at the time and the way you remember what you experienced are actually completely different. And he shows this. But it's actually quite true, because when you remember something, like when you think back to your childhood, you're not remembering actually the way your childhood was. You're just remembering the memories of your childhood. And it's a really profound and important point to think about. And it's true with everything. Um, but also the other kind of interesting point about this is that you kind of live through other people. And I was talking to my buddy Chris about this the other day, where like your who you are as a person and what you remember is actually stored within the people around you. And in the book I'm reading now on the brain, he was talking about this today, where like what like who you are as a person is a large impact of like the people around you. And if you take a human and you completely subtract them from social interaction, the brain like slowly like dies basically, and you become like unable to socialize. Socializing is incredibly important, and it's caused in large part because we like understand each other, we can communicate with each other, we can store memories with each other, we can store experiences with each other. When it comes to like close friends and family, they are like a large part of your life. It's like when they die, you're losing part of your life. You're not losing just a friend, but you're losing actually part of like your memory, because they store memories that you don't have. They might tell you stories that you didn't know that then become part of your memories. So yeah, there's just like a whole bunch of stuff around memory, and it's such a fascinating thing. Two books I'd recommend: Moonwalking with Einstein, which is on the journalist who won the U.S. national tournament. I thought that was quite an amazing book. And Thinking Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman, is basically like the holy grail of psychology. Would highly recommend it. It is a big book, but it's definitely well worth your time. So I'll leave it at that, and see you tomorrow for day 17.